Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. I hope you're doing well and ready for a conversation that has been echoing across timelines, fan pages, and entertainment circles all week. Today we're looking closely at a couple whose connection has inspired countless posts, edits, and heartfelt comments, Akın and Ebru. Judging by the title, you already sense where we're headed. There's a storm of rumors suggesting their relationship is facing a serious crisis, or that it may quietly have reached its end. If you want the full picture, to sift through what's being said and consider what it might actually mean, stay with me to the very last moment. From the beginning, the story of Akın and Ebru captured imaginations precisely because it felt both luminous and real. Their paths crossed publicly through the lens of television, on sets where chemistry can be manufactured for the camera but rarely mimicked in real life. With them, the energy felt unforced. We saw candid laughter, small gestures, and respectful space for each other's work. Fans learned their rhythms through photos, interviews, and those rare private moments that slipped into public view, enough to make their bond feel like a hopeful blueprint for love in an industry known for its extremes. But in this world, as you know, tomorrow can rewrite today. Not long ago, whispers started to circulate. At first, they were faint. Just a few questions in the comments, slight hesitations in fan discussions. Then the murmurs grew, amplified by screenshots, timelines, and comparisons. In a matter of days, that gentle hum became a steady drumbeat. Are Akın and Ebru okay? Has something changed? The signs people point to are the usual ones we see when a couple begins to withdraw from the public gaze. Fewer joint moments. Separate red carpet appearances. Captions that sound like they're speaking to someone far away. Stories posted from different cities on the same weekend, where they once might have crossed paths for a single photo or a quick bit of warmth to reassure the crowd watching. It didn't help that comments asking about them seemed to go unanswered. Slowly, the silence began to feel like a language of its own. Media outlets picked up the thread quickly. Some reports suggest that the practical realities of their careers, relentless schedules, distant filming locations, back-to-back commitments, may have tested the relationship more than anyone outside could see. It's a familiar story, but no less difficult. One project wraps just as another begins. A brand campaign pulls one of them to a foreign shoot. A new series requires months in a remote corner of the country. The kind of quiet time together that helps a relationship grow becomes a luxury item, hard to find and harder to keep. Anyone who has tried to balance love and ambition knows the strain. Sets run into the night. Call times swallow the morning. Travel erases weekends and makes birthdays a negotiation with time zones. Even strong couples can find their center shifting when quality moments are traded for phone calls between takes, or when affection has to live inside voice notes and hurried dinners before one of them disappears back into character. Then there are the stories that move away from logistics and towards something more delicate. We've heard speculation about personal differences, about evolving needs, about that quiet drift that happens when two people grow at different speeds. There's talk that the dynamic might have changed, that little things once brushed aside began to gather weight. Not out of malice, these are two thoughtful, private people, but from the normal friction of life lived under scrutiny. Sometimes love doesn't shatter, it softens until it can't hold the shape it had before. If that is what's happening here, the outcome is painful even when done with care. It's the kind of pain fans feel, too, because they invested hope in a story that felt like a beacon. For months, for years even, Akın and Ebru were the coupling people posted about when they wanted to believe that tenderness could thrive even in the glare of cameras. The idea of that ending arrives like a chill, and it lingers. It matters because we watched them show up for each other. Ebru's star rose fiercely with roles that demanded both strength and vulnerability. Projects like Destan and Hırkay turned her into a symbol of grace under pressure. Akın, with his distinctive intensity on screen, matched that force with steady, careful choices about his career and public presence. Interviews showed them speaking with admiration, not competing for spotlight but carving out room for each other's victories. That mutual respect became part of their charm. which is why the current uncertainty hits so hard. When a couple seems to communicate fluently in the little ways, smiles shared in the background of a set photo, a quick glance across a room that says, "I'm right here," the absence of those moments is impossible to miss. You don't need a press release to sense a shift when once visible connections go quiet. And so we arrive at the hardest part, the wait for anything official. Neither Akın nor Ebru has confirmed a breakup, and they have every right to hold their silence. In the age of instantaneous conclusions, quiet can feel like confirmation, but it can also be a boundary, a way of drawing a circle around something private and fragile. Still, fans keep count, the missing likes, the separate stories, the notable absence at a premiere where both were once expected to appear. People connect the dots because they're grasping for certainty in a landscape built on suggestion. It's important to pause here and remember what the headlines can't show: they're people first. They have families who love them, colleagues who rely on them, and, most of all, inner lives that don't belong to anyone else. Whether they're taking space or closing a chapter, this is, above all, a human experience. Heartache does not become easier because you're famous. If anything, it becomes harder, multiplied by the number of eyes trained on your every move. Fame complicates everything. When you're recognized everywhere you go, gestures can be misread, innocent friendships can be turned into fodder for envy, and every muted phone notification looks like a secret. Misinterpretations are constant. If one of them congratulates a co-star on a successful episode, someone somewhere will decide that it means more than it does. Home stops being a place you go and becomes a state you defend. The work itself is a demanding third presence in any relationship, especially in Turkish television, where shooting schedules are famously grueling. Long days become long months. Sets move from bustling Istanbul streets to mountain villages, or to secluded towns where the weather decides the day. The job asks for patience and presence, and for partners, that request can sometimes demand more than either intended to give. We've all had seasons in our lives where the calendar doesn't listen to the heart. There's also the simple truth that people change. In the glow of a new connection, it's easy to agree on everything. Later, when the glow settles into a steadier light, the differences that once seemed intriguing can become crossroads. Maybe one wants to travel more while the other craves calm. Maybe one leans into new business ventures while the other seeks a quieter artistic path. None of it is betrayal. It's growth, inconvenient, beautiful, complicated growth. As the conversation unfolded online, the fandom split into familiar camps, those who mourned aloud, those who urged patience, those who knitted threads of optimism from any tiny moment that looked like hope. Some created tribute edits, threading together their favorite scenes and interviews. Others wrote long posts about why they admired the way Akın and Ebru had carried themselves, kindly, thoughtfully, without unnecessary spectacle. It's a testament to the connection they built with their audience. So far, the facts are thin, scattered, and filtered through lenses that are not always kind. We might eventually hear their truth from them directly, a joint note, a quiet acknowledgement in an interview, or perhaps nothing at all beyond the choices they make with their time and their presence. We forget that choosing not to explain is still a choice, and it deserves respect. What can't be denied is the mark their story has already left. Whether this is a pause, a shift, or an ending, it mattered. It colored premieres and magazine covers. It became the reason 1,000 young fans believed they could chase dreams without losing the warmth that makes the chase worth it. For that alone, the chapter deserves gratitude, not gossip dressed as certainty. There are lessons here if we want them. Relationships are complex in quiet neighborhoods. They don't become simpler under studio lights. Boundaries are necessary. Communication is the oxygen that keeps affection alive when daily life rations time. And when a couple lives inside a magnifying glass, kindness from the outside world isn't optional, it's essential. A gentler comment section can be an act of protection. To summarize what we've explored, we're looking at a possible crisis, perhaps an ending, in the relationship between Akın Akınoğlu and Ebru Şahin. The breadcrumbs. Separate appearances, fewer shared moments, the subtle retreat from public displays, have led to a swell of speculation. Media voices have added interpretations, focusing on distance, work pressures, and the personal evolutions that arrive whether the public is watching or not. None of it is confirmed by them. All of it matters to fans who care deeply. And yet, the absence of confirmation speaks to their priorities. The signs might suggest that a chapter has closed or is closing, and that will feel like a loss to many. Nostalgia blooms fast in moments like this. People revisit first interviews, backstage clips, and the tender glances that once seemed like answers in themselves. It's a natural way of saying goodbye, even if no one has said the words out loud. We're reminded again that privacy is not a privilege, it's a right. Whether they find their way back to each other or choose separate paths, kindness should lead the conversation. Guessing and blaming won't bring clarity, they will only bruise. The respectful move is to give them room to breathe, to heal, and to decide what they want their lives to look like when the camera isn't rolling. Here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we'll continue to watch the story unfold with the care it deserves. If there's a development, if either of them chooses to speak, if a public appearance changes the narrative, if the rumors fall away, we'll be here to walk through it with the same balance we've tried to hold today. No rush to judgment, no headlines that outrun the truth, just patience, perspective, and empathy. Now I'd love to hear from you. What do you make of the clues, the timing, the quiet? Do you think this is a season of distance that could resolve, or does it feel like a curtain closing softly on a chapter we'll remember fondly? Share your thoughts in the comments, but let's keep the conversation kind. After all, our words reach people who are living this in real time. If this deep dive gave you a clearer view of what might be happening, tap like so more viewers who care about thoughtful discussion can find it. Send the video to the friends who fell in love with their journey from day one. And if you're new here, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets so you never miss the next update, the next analysis, or the next moment when a rumor becomes a reality, or gently fades away. Until then, thank you for spending this time with me, and take good care of your hearts while we wait for the truth to arrive on its own schedule.